thing. All right. Fiber's hooked up, and the live well presented by Fish North Georgia is back. Here we are tonight on this beautiful Thursday, July, hoping everyone had a fabulous Independence Day weekend. Danny is in the house with Mr. Kevin Underwood of Lipsticker Fishing, and we're going to talk some bass fishing, sonar, and whatever else we want to talk about. But as always, this episode of the Live Well is brought to you by For Her Outdoor Apparel. Check out their lineup of casual performance apparel at www.forheroutdoor.com. The number for Her Outdoor Apparel is not listed. Sorry. I don't know why it says that. They'll keep the outdoors woman and man in your life looking stylish. The outdoors aren't just for the boys anymore. They're for her. Danny, we've missed you. We've missed being here. Take it away, my man.
All right, that was good. I told you keep it about 10 seconds. What did he do? He went about a minute and a half right there.
Shut up. Well, it threw me off because there wasn't no. It says literally, Danny has it literally in parentheses. It says the number.
The number. Danny doesn't have the number. But anyway, guys, hey, welcome back to the Live Well. We're glad we're back. And as Ryan said, yeah, the fiber is hooked up. So hopefully we will have no more internet issues ever here. And so we'll have a good, clear show for you guys tonight. Go ahead and say hello to everybody that's out there. Ron, Dylan, Sal, and Jersey Cat. Oh, yeah. So everybody's out there. So there'll be a lot more coming in. And we do have a great show tonight. We do have Kevin Underwood here and, coming fresh off the victory on Lake Lanier today. So how does that feel?
Yeah, well, we caught them good today, so it's always good when we catch them good.
Humble as ever. We caught him good today. So, yeah, he actually kicked some butt. If you're on Facebook, make sure you go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Did I say that right, Ryan?
Yes, I'll type it in the description.
You type it in there, and that way you guys can type in your name unless you just want to remain anonymous. And so, we'd love when we get the comments. I'm sure a lot of you guys got great questions for Kevin. But we'd like to know your name. But if you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. But let's take care of some business before we get to the talking. Make sure you guys, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Click that notification bell so that you can get all our content. Ryan's putting out a lot of great videos. Also, for you guys that want fishing reports from Ryan as he goes out on Lake Lanier, and we're adding other people as well. Hey, check out that members only box, $9.99 a month. $9.99 a month. It's one of the cheapest things around, and Ryan tells you exactly what he's catching fish on, what he's seeing. And again, I'm planning on adding a person or two on every lake in Georgia, so that is coming. I'm working on it. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Also, make sure you like us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. We're going to have a new Threads, that new Hickey Majigger they're coming out. We're going to get one of those. So, is there anything else as far as the social media, Ryan, that I'm missing?
No.
Did I nail it?
I think you're good.
All right, good. So, again, hello to everybody out there. Wish I would have entered the tournament. You'd have lost your money today there, Dylan. Out there, Kevin was on fire. So, we're going to talk about tonight whatever you guys want to talk about in the comment section. If you got questions for Kevin, make sure you list them, and I'll definitely ask them. And, the man himself, Connor, is in the house. The poor squirrels in Marble Hill will never get fed again, since you guys got the fiber internet working now. That's right. So, hey, we hope it is going to work. We did find out, though, that the one enemy of fiber and anything is a squirrel.
Oh, really?
Yes. Apparently, squirrels like to chew on your fiber lines. But hopefully, we won't have them issues anymore. But, again, guys, we missed doing this show. We haven't been here in a few weeks. We appreciate your patience. And, again, thank you guys for your support. And, if you're watching at a later date, hey, we appreciate you, too. And this will be going up onto iTunes and Spotify tomorrow, now that I can actually upload it in a reasonable amount of time. So we're going to get back to that. So again, if you like your podcast where you can hear it and you're at work and everything, hey, check us out on iTunes, Spotify, Apple, whatever you get your podcast on, we will be there. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. So you won today, Hammond's Digital Tournament, which is a pretty cool format.
Yeah, that's a fun format. It's people can watch real time what's going on. They
can
see, who's weighing what, who's catching what. And it's also safe for the fish. It's hot. We don't really put them in the live well and drive them around all day. You weigh them in, you put them right back in the water. So
yeah,
it's a good for the fisheries too. I really liked it.
It is.
Fishing.
I fished a few with my buddy Brett Matthews a couple years ago, and I really did enjoy it. And the thing about that is, for those of you that don't know how the tournament works, they've got a scale that I guess reports. You weigh it. You got to video it.
You video it.
You video. You upload it to an app on your phone, but you've got a video. You putting the fish on the scale, showing the weight.
You got to get the weight and show the entire fish, where then make sure that it's legitimate, that you weighed that fish and then drop that fish back in the water on video. So
yeah,
it's pretty legit. I think it's a really good way to do tournaments in the summertime.
It is, because a lot of clubs go down to a three fish limit.
Yeah.
But this actually eliminates all that. So kudos to Tim Hawkins and the guys over at Hammond's, another great local tackle shop. Of course, everybody knows Hammond's in the area. So it is a really cool thing that they do. And if you guys are off on a Thursday morning, I don't know how much longer they're going to do it, but they generally run it through the summer.
Yeah, he does a lot of them. He's done 2 in a row so far this go around at it. So.
Yeah, and so if you got nothing to do on a Thursday morning, you're up in the Lake Lanier area, hey, go to Hammond's, pick you up a scale, get out there and fish. The cool thing is you can actually pick your scale up, be on the water. You cannot catch a fish before the scales open. You're not allowed to fish.
Yeah,
what time do the scales open?
Lines in the water at 7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock.
So you can go to your spot. You just can't cast. You can't do any fishing before that time. You're not supposed to.
Yeah, it's an honor system, but
right. So once 7 o'clock hits, he kind of turns on where you can weigh your fish in at that time, and it runs like today. It run until 12 o'clock. So. Yeah,
okay, it's a pretty cool thing. So what's up, Harold Grizzle? Scratch fishing, I would have gotten 4th, but I failed to video the 406 we caught. All right, now, hey, listen, it is technology, so I understand that. I tell you what, just my experience in that tournament, the first one I fished with Brett Matthews, on my first 3 casts, first time I ever done it, throwing a rock crawler that day, I caught 3 fish on 3 consecutive casts. So we had like 11 pounds in 15 minutes or whatever. Oh, yeah, well, this is good. This is great. And then the rest of the day, we just watch people pass us all day. So it's frustrating if you're fishing it because you can't keep up with everybody.
Oh, yeah. You kind of watch, you're kind of like, all right, who's fishing this thing today? And you're kind of looking for them. You're like, all right, where's these hammers at? They ought to be catching them.
That's right.
Who's on my tail, So
that's it.
Yeah.
So
we actually had a couple of bloopers today on our video, and we caught some really good largemouths today, and some of them's got these big old lips, and we had 2 of them. We weighed it, we videoed it. The fish was weighed in, and then Kennedy goes to drop the fish in the water, and he's hung on the scale, and he's shaking the scale trying to get the fish off, and he like falls on the deck, and I'm like, Kennedy, throw the thing in the water, man, get him in the water.
Yeah.
And Tim actually, he's like, all right, that's going to be a penalty. He's like, tell Kennedy if he does that again, he's getting a penalty.
He got a penalty. So yeah,
but we kept it all on video. We had the fish on video, so you could see that the fish was legitimately in the water.
Right. And that is another cool thing about it is Tim's watching. Yeah. He's basically being the scorekeeper.
Yeah, exactly.
So every fish that is caught during that tournament, he has to actually see the video and say, okay, that's a legit catch. They get credit for it. Right. So got a question real quick from Connor Hewitt. Did you fish the spot choker any, and what did you focus on offshore? Now, let me go ahead and preface this. All right. And I do this with all our guests. Listen, they're going to tell you some things. They ain't going to give you the juice. All right. If you want the juice, you gotta book a trip with Kevin. Is that about right?
If he wants the juice, you come
the
on.
Juice.
I'll give you the juice.
And since we're doing that right now, let's go ahead. If you're interested in booking a trip with Kevin, how can they get in touch with you?
They can hit me up on Facebook Messenger. They can email me, kevin@lipstickerfishing.com, or they can call me at 678-459-8419.
Absolutely. So that's a good way. And listen, I will tell you this. Kevin and I spent a day out on the water. And I will, we were just having some fun, but I will tell you this, he spent the entire day, even though we were having fun, teaching me stuff. I learned a lot about Sonar, and if you got any Sonar questions, then make sure you bring them. But I had a really good time when we caught some good fish, and it was a little colder back then, but we had a good time. So I learned some stuff. So I really highly recommend you guys, if you got a day, you want to go learn Lake Lanier, you want to learn Sonar a little bit, a lot of great guides out there. Kevin's right up there with them. Hey, go out there and jump out there with them. Is there an age limit to the Hammond's tournament that you know of? I don't know of one, as long as you're legal to drive a boat.
I would guess.
Yeah.
Either that or get somebody to drive you, your parent or whatever.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a pretty good tournament to cut your teeth on, though, if you want to do it during a Thursday, because it's not as big of a crowd as on a Saturday. One of those tournaments where you got that and plus all the boat traffic. So that might be pretty good. So they brought up spot choker.
Yeah. So we did catch a lot of fish today on a spot choker, paired with a fluke.
Okay, with a fluke.
Yes.
Okay, so not running a Kitech on it.
No, sir. Not the way we're fishing it. I will say this: we've kind of zeroed in on the way that these bass feed on herring, and we are imitating that. We are getting them to respond to that, even when it's really, really hot. So
that's good.
A lot of big fish.
That's good. So James Larry, hello. Yeah, that's hey, there you go. You got to pay attention in between the lines, and you can catch up on these little tips. Let's go ahead and read a couple comments right there. Kevin helped me so much. I caught 24 bass after my trip last week in one day, and my first double. So he said a double. He's probably throwing a little top water.
Oh yeah. I think I don't know what he was throwing,
but to get a double up, that might be a top water bite right there.
It might be, or he might have been fishing with somebody.
Okay, that might have been it. That might have been it. Pull up the next one there, Ryan. We're gonna blow some smoke up your wazoo right here for a while.
Oh, this one.
Yeah, that right there. Had the pleasure of fishing with Kevin a couple weeks back. Had a great day and learned a lot. Been putting him in the boat with all I learned. Really helped iron out some things, which leads me right into the next comment that you had pulled up right there. What electronics are you running? And this is one thing before you get talking about this that I want to say. The day we were out on the water, you really showed me a lot about electronics.
Yeah.
How important it is and what I'm actually looking at.
Right.
So it was a lot of good stuff. So again, what electronics are you running?
So what I'm running on my boat, I'm running Humminbirds, and really my Humminbirds are just for structure scanning. I'm using down imaging and side scan. I'm really not into the 2D stuff. I can see everything I need to see on structure scan. And I know some people might say, well, yeah, 2D is still man, for me and my fishing, I don't use it. Like I said, you went out, you seen what we saw. A lot of times you'll see, fish in the timber. Fish in the timber on 2D. Sometimes it gets a little sketchy to figure out and what you're looking at. But if you set your graphs up, and you run them on the 455 frequency, it penetrates the water deeper and a lot better. And you see a lot more stuff down there deep with that frequency. So you can kind of pick fish out in the timber with that. And, we catch them out of the timber too. We caught a couple out of the timber today. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think what was really cool the day you and I were fishing, I never really paid much attention to side scan.
Oh, we seen them laying in the ditch on side scan.
Yeah. And so, and the way you were showing me. Now, one thing that I noticed when you and I were talking, you said a lot of people have their sonar set up to the wrong frequency. We talked about frequency a lot that day. And you just mentioned 455.
Right.
And why is that important to you as far as your fishing? I know others may do it different, but as far as your fishing.
So when you're out there deep, 455, like I said, it penetrates deeper and it shoots further. So, when we're talking deep fishing, Lanier, especially in the wintertime, like when me and you went,
right,
we were catching fish between, what was it, 70 to like 15 early in the morning. And then as the day went on, we kind of moved out with them. So, I mean, we were catching fish really deep and we were seeing these fish, on side scan.
Mm-hmm.
So you can still use that out there, even out there deep. So
yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah. Pull up old Tim Hawkins there. Tim watching tonight again with Hammonds. And this is one thing I noticed. And first of all, let me say again, everybody, guys, listen, Hammonds, great local tackle shop. Everybody knows about them. I shop there. But if you ain't gonna come to Fish North Georgia, you might as well go on over there to Hammonds. They got everything you need right there. So again, make sure when you do shop, regardless of where you shop local. These big box stores, hey, they can get their money selling electronics and all that stuff. Shop local and support all your local businesses. But one thing Tim has right here, he said, having saw a lot of largemouth wading today, were you surprised to catch the ones you were catching? And that was something that I noticed as I was watching during the day, or right after the tournament. You posted pictures. Yes. And you had all these great pictures, but the first thing I noticed, that daggum big lip in your hand right there. So did it surprise you to catch them today? Because it is July. not supposed to be the time we're catching largemouth right now on Lanier.
So I did a trip yesterday with a fella.
Yeah.
And actually caught one bigger yesterday than I caught any today. I caught one yesterday. It was probably about 6.5. So depending on how much weight she's put back on, potentially a 7.
Which is a
On the high
great.
side, maybe 7.5. I couldn't really tell. I just know, hey, it was a really big largemouth. And there's been a few other ones kind of show up there, but we've kind of got a school of largemouths located.
Right.
And
You ain't gonna give me the coordinates, are you?
no, sir. I'm sorry, I'll not
no
do
doubt.
that.
Yeah.
But there's some really good largemouths in this school.
Lanier.
I will say that they are offshore. They
Yeah.
are a school of offshore largemouth, and that is probably got more to do with the herring. So
That
yes,
was okay.
exactly.
That was where I was going.
Mhm.
Real quick, Tim, if you're still watching, we got a question in the comments from Dylan that wants to know: is there an age limit to fish the Hammond's Digital Tournament? All right. So if you have a chance, Tim, and you're still answering, could you pop that in the comment if there's an age limit to fish the Hammond's Digital Tournaments on Thursday? Now, you mentioned a really interesting point right there, because I've noticed. Let's take Latham, which is, of course, the little electric reservoir over here that's got spots and largemouth. Anybody that fishes Latham knows that any time the topwater bite is phenomenal over there. Unfortunately, y'all didn't get the experience it the day you were over there, but it is. And I would venture to say that if you catch 10 fish on topwater in these schools that come up on Latham, probably 50% are largemouth. Now, we're starting to see that a little bit on Lanier. Maybe not topwater, but you're catching largemouth in places where they might not have been 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, anytime, I'll say it this way, and this is, I think, is probably the best way to explain it. Anywhere you go, whatever the food source is there, the fish are going to respond to that. So with it being herring and Lanier, they're going to act like herring eaters.
Right.
So, regardless, I mean, if it's a big fish, a bass, a spotted bass, largemouth, a striper. I mean, sometimes we catch catfish out there with them.
Yes.
Anything that eats them is going to be out there with them, and they're going to kind of adapt and, to eating whatever the food source is.
Right.
Whether it be, threadfin shad, if you go to the lakes, it's got threadfin shad in it, you'll have to catch them a different way than you do at Lake Lanier. And, from lake to lake, I always tell people when they come out on trips with me, it's very important to figure out what your food source is.
Right.
Figure out your food source and then kind of put your seasonal patterns together, take all that information and go try to figure out what they're doing. You can take that anywhere you go.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense. Absolutely. Real quick, Dylan. Okay, you saw that, Tim. For anybody that wants to know, Dylan asked about an age limit on the Hammond's Digital Tournaments, and Tim was kind enough to say you would need to both anglers, 16, because you do have to have two anglers. You cannot fish these digital tournaments solo. You have to have two, one to record, one to do the weight. So you have to be both 16 or at least have one adult in the boat. And then I guess at that point, you could have a younger minor in the thing. So, Tim, thank you very much for clarifying that for us. Got another one. Put up Facebook user real quick. And Tom Oswald, I'm going to get to your comment here. I won't forget you. But topwater fishing on Lanier right now. You're on the lake all the time. What are we seeing?
So topwater fishing on Lanier. Yeah. World-class topwater lake. There's days when it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And you can't do nothing wrong. You could literally, if you had a topwater doorknob, you could throw it in there and catch one. There's them days
right.
where it's just like you can't do nothing wrong.
Uh-huh.
Then there's days where topwater bites very slow. You'll get a couple bites on it. They'll boil on it. They'll come up there and, just nip at it, and you ain't really catching them that way. So you kind of gotta make some adjustments. You either have to figure out, hey, they might want a different topwater plug. Like some days we catch them on a chug bug. Some days we catch them on a skimmer. Some days we catch them on a fluke. All of these, staying within that topwater rim, but maybe a little different profile, a little bit different sound, maybe something that, everybody's not throwing, they're not seeing it as much. But whatever you can do to make an adjustment. Sometimes the adjustment is not a top water. Sometimes the adjustment may be running a subsurface, something like a Seville or a glide bait, or Mr. Rick Stickelberg's got Southern Hook Lures. He's got a new bait called a Fickle. That bait, man, I've kind of grown to like that bait a lot. That was I went to Hartwell a couple of days, and I spent the entire time up there throwing that bait on Hartwell. And the first 2 days that I was there, I was planning on fishing a tournament. The first 2 days I was there, I was just kind of looking, kind of holding back. And then the third day I was there, I was like, found out that it got canceled. And then I was like, all right, I ain't going to waste this. I'm going to go swing on these jokers. Then I caught 20 pounds of largemouth up there, and it was a lot of fun. Caught every one of them on that little Fickle bait. And it's something different. It's kind of like a fluke meets a glide bait meets a jerk bait. Very different lure.
That's a hell of a combination.
Very different lure, but something that maybe they ain't seen as much, something they ain't seen as much. But that's the types of adjustments to think about. And then, of course, maybe you just need to forget about them top water fish and just fish for some deep fish.
Right.
Just, go try to do something else. Don't get hung up, and spawn out on one thing. Go do something else.
Yeah,
keep looking.
So
There's always fish eating on Lanier.
Absolutely, you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Bassmaster Jim wants to know, how many days are you on the water per year, just as an estimate?
Oh no.
You would say, you're pretty busy booked with your guide service.
I run a lot of trips. Even when I don't run trips, I go out and hang out on the lake, and just kind of go and look for new stuff.
Did you say 5 days a week minimum, you reckon?
Yeah, probably.
Roughly about. So y'all guys can do the math. We're just good old boys here. We don't do those big deals. Connor Hewitt right there. When you're fishing offshore, what is the one thing that you target that's easier, or that's an easier way to catch them? What's the one way you target them offshore that's the easiest way?
So let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's not any one easy way to catch them. The easy way to catch them is to figure out how they're set up and what you should be throwing according to how your fish are set up. Because, if fish are set up a certain way, they're not going to eat it. Let's just use a drop shot for an example.
Okay.
There's a time when a drop shot bite is phenomenal. But if they're sitting up in the top of the brush piles, feeding up, and that's kind of going to be going against the grain of what the fish are doing. So you don't really want to throw something that they're not really set up to do. So I would say the easiest way to catch them is to kind of study them, see what they're doing, and then make the adjustments according to what the fish are doing and how they're set up.
So what you're saying right there is you pull up with your forward-facing sonar.
Yeah, you can do that real easy with forward-facing sonar.
You look at the fish.
Mm-hmm.
You say whether they're deep in the brush, on top of the brush, to the side, and from that picture right there,
pick up a lure and throw it at them for something that they're set up to eat.
Yeah, okay, I got you. Absolutely right there. So, hey, that's good stuff. Danny Hogshead right there. Danny, appreciate you as always. 84 water temp this morning. Let's talk about live wells and fizzing fish before quick release. So you do anything special with your live wells? Well, not tournament day you're keeping them, but other than that,
not for today. Today,
because it was digital.
Yeah, we're releasing them so quick that they're going right back down.
Okay.
They're going to go right back down and get right back where they were at.
You think that's more of a wintertime thing sometimes?
Yeah, fizzing fish in the wintertime, definitely if you catch deep fish. I've heard a few people say they bring them up slow. I've not really had success with bringing them up slow.
Right.
I would like to get with somebody that does that and see that with my own eyes.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I know when a fish needs to be fizzed immediately. In the wintertime, you catch him, you can literally feel him. He feels like a rock.
Yeah.
If you put that fish in a live well, it don't matter what G juice you use or any of that. He's got that pressure on his insides.
Right.
So, his insides, if somebody blowed you up, you're not going to function.
Well, if you saw me, they say I'm blowed up all the time.
Internal organs are not going to function
right
with that pressure on him, and he's going to die. He's going to die.
Okay, absolutely.
But as far as in the heat, like if we say if which I could keep 5 fish alive with no problem. I mean,
Right.
I ain't gonna say I don't never have trouble with one. I've had trouble with them before, but I'll set my live wells up to where, hey, I'll have some ice, some peroxide, some G juice, and there's some new stuff I started using too that I just started using. I really like it. It's called Please Release Me. I can't think of who names it, but it's got Please Release Me on the side of the bottle.
It's pretty old.
It's some granules, and I started putting that in there too. And I think that in conjunction with G juice, the ice, the peroxide, make sure you plug your live wells. Don't try to circulate lake water through your cold water, of course.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Ryan, you're big on the live well stuff. Just anything you want to add to that, real quick? Are you awake back there?
Clean your live wells.
Clean your live wells.
Stop being lazy.
There you go. I knew Brian's big on. Well, fish care is a big thing.
If you want to know how to keep fish alive in the summertime in 90-degree water temperature, come talk to me. I guarantee you.
Oh, good
swim
Lord.
away.
Gosh.
I keep 5 and
actually take the time. We talk about
it
this
takes
all
a
the
little bit
time.
of effort.
Yes, you put the effort into making sure that your live well's clean and that, of course, like you said, the ice, the peroxide and all that, but clean, you got to start with a clean live well.
Yes.
A lot of guys don't do that. You let your boat sit all the time, you don't ever clean your live well. You're just asking for trouble right there. James Larry, he's not single. He's a committed man. He just has a very, very great partner that allows you to fish all the time.
Yeah, my wife, she's great. I love her to death. I couldn't ask for a better.
Smart answer.
I couldn't ask for a better
smart
partner.
answer. Smart
Wife.
answer. That's right. Smart.
She's great.
That's smart answer. Hey, pull up
Sally,
Facebook.
if you're watching, I love you.
You are a smart man. Pull up Facebook user right there at the top. Let's do this question. Can you scan a brush pile and see fish and then turn around and catch them after going over the top of the brush pile?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question. And for me personally, I would take a day. Or if you don't have a day, if you're going out there fishing for whatever number of hours, if you're going out there fish for 5 hours, that's all the time you got.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, go fish, but take a little bit of time from that and go scan. For Lanier, hey, go graph in 45 feet of water or less. Graph inside the timber line, and go find brush. Go look for big solid pieces of timber that fish will sit up on. Go graph. And then, when you wanna go fish your brush piles, go look, see which ones are holding fish, but don't really turn the boat right around right away and try to fish them. Locate your fish and then come back to them. That's kind of what I do. Reason being, the reason I do it that way is there is so much pressure on the lake now. It seems like the days of scanning a brush pile and then turning around and trying to fish them, hey, it's really tough to get bites. It's really tough to catch quality fish.
Right.
For me. I mean, I ain't saying ain't nobody else doing it, but for me, I don't have very good success with driving over stuff and then turning the boat right around and trying to fish it.
Okay.
So,
hey, there you go.
I like to locate my schools of fish and then run them, especially this time of the year. Now in the wintertime, it's a little different. In the wintertime, you can drive over them, do stuff because they're going to sit there. They're going to lay on the bottom anyway. They're not going to go nowhere. They're going to be right there most of the time.
Right.
Which,
okay.
They will run around on the bottom a lot in the wintertime. You've seen that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you've seen that.
I've seen it. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Ryan. Hey, here's a good point. Let's talk about our newest sponsor, Adams Renovation, real quick, if you could, sir.
All right. Charlie Adams with Adams Restorations. He is local here to the Pickens County area. He is a fellow fisherman, just like the rest of us. He does a lot of remodel work. If you need anything from painting, remodels, bathroom floors, bathrooms, outdoor projects like decking, patios, and fences, Charlie will get it done. He will take care of you, and he will do it right the first time. You can give him a call at 470-505-3412 or email him at adamsrenovations20 charlieadams@gmail.com. That is Charlie Adams, located right here in Pickens County, Georgia.
Absolutely.
If you need any kind of remodeling help or anything new, he is the guy to do it.
And he can do a little bit of everything.
He
So
sure
really
can.
great guy. We really
He
appreciate
is.
him. Really appreciate him. Again, guys, hey, listen, if you got a business and you want to put it out here on the live well, you guys hit us up on Facebook at Messenger. Give us a call, 678-283-6700. Hey, you support us, we'll support you. We'll do all that. But and Charlie's a really good dude. Now, Lanier Basson wants to know, did you have a game plan of fishing today? Pulled up, or was something different today than yesterday catching them? Like, did you go in this morning? Like from yesterday, you've been on the lake all week with your trips and everything. Hey, I think I know what I need to do Thursday when I get to this tournament. Or was it like, let's just go see what we can find?
So I already knew this school of largemouths was there.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, I already knew this school of largemouths was there, and I also knew that, everybody knows about bluegill beds. There's some good fish caught off of bluegill beds too. That kind of gets overlooked on Lanier a lot.
Keep it overlooked.
And I've got a particular bluegill bed that's got at least a 6-pounder on it. And I've been over there a few times, and every time I pull up there, I can't get this fish to bite, or I catch a little fish before I can get that fish to bite. And I kind of set up a rod to go fish these bluegill beds. And I talked to Kenny today. I said, man, I know where there's a 6-pounder on a bluegill bed. And I also know where there's a big giant school of largemouth at. So which one do we do? Do we go over here and try to catch this? I call them groanings.
Absolutely.
Go over here and catch this groaning over here back up the creek, or do we go and fish for it? So we kind of went with the, hey, there's a lot more of them over here.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that. So we went and we caught them good today. We caught them. So
no, it worked.
It
absolutely worked right there.
One of the, they're still missing some weight. They're still really post spawn. We're still catching a lot of fish. We weighed in a fish today that literally had a nub, had absolutely no tail. He's on one of the videos that we sent in today. He was missing like 3 ounces from his tail.
Just from his tail alone.
Probably so.
So you notice in these fish, they haven't recovered from the spawn yet. They still haven't got their fat put back on them, the weight and all that. So
some of them have, some of them are starting to get some weight on them. Like I said, one of them largemouths that we caught today should have been a lot heavier.
Mm-hmm.
That one largemouth should have been. It was a big old head, man, but she was missing a little bit of weight, so she ended up. I think that one went 4.5.
What do you think she would have weighed if she would say spawn time?
Oh, if she was pre-spawn fish, that fish probably would have been 5.5 to 6 pounds.
Okay, that's a good fish, absolutely.
Yes.
Eddie Downs wants to know, what is the best thing to use to clean your live wells?
Ryan, actually, that's Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan, how about you? What is the best? Look at there. Live well cleaner.
Live well cleaner from Fish Life Fish Care Products. This is the best stuff to use. It is non-toxic to the fish. So when you clean your live wells out, if there's a little bit left, it is A-OK. Unlike baking soda will still cause the fish to foam up in your live wells. And if you don't get it washed out all the way, you will actually, kind of suffocate the fish a little bit. This stuff doesn't hurt the fish. We have this stuff here at the store. It's $13.99 a bottle. And it lasts you about 6 or 7 cleanings. You should clean your live well twice a year. You should clean your live well in about May, June, 1st of June into May. You should clean it then, and then you should clean it again around October, 1st of November.
Okay, so just at least do it a few times a year.
Yes, you need to. You need to, and you need to clean every bit of your hoses, all that stuff. Use your aerators, use your recirc pumps, and circulate this stuff through it. And wash it out.
Okay.
It will keep your fish alive, having clean live well systems, because there's a lot of probably people don't realize it, and it's just simply from pure uneducation. It's not a knock on anybody by no means. It's just pure uneducation. There's a lot of bacteria that grows. herring spawns, shad spawns, your live wells, they get absolutely ate up with puke, bacteria, vomit, and eventually
What?
it's going to cluster up your live well system, and it's going to be really, really bad. It is going to be you will have dead fish.
Okay.
You will have dead fish strictly. You'll be like, man, I done wrong everything I was supposed to do. No, I don't give a damn. You got regurgitated stuff constantly in your live well, and you don't clean everything out, you're going to lose fish.
Yeah, think about how many times people say that the bass puked up something in their live well.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. It's not very hard to do.
You have no excuse, is basically what you're saying.
No, you really don't. And if you're like me, you take pride in being able to catch 5 in the middle of August and then watch them swim away.
Yep,
it's kind of important.
It is, and I will say there was a tournament. And I don't remember if it was high school or college, but I know it was one of the two that had a lot of dead fish. Listen to that cracking going on back there, boys. Joe Boo, I need a refill. Good night.
We're just hanging out.
I was just hanging out. That sound crack. But there was that tournament, and there was a guy that came in behind that tournament, and there were dead fish everywhere. So, guys, listen, again, it's for the fish, of course, but it's also for the image as a bass fisherman to make sure that you take the time to, take care of the fish, fizz them if needed or use the fin weights or whatever. But, again, we don't need any more black eyes on any sport. Lord knows there's enough people out there fussing about it.
Oh, yeah.
I meant to ask you a question, and I'm going to get to Tom Oswald's comment. Tom, I haven't forgot about you. If you could pick one topwater bait to catch a bass in July, what would it be?
I only get one.
You only get one. Only get one right now. One bait.
I would go with a smaller walking bait. I would have to go with what's the mega bass one? The giant dog X, I think is what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good little profile. Matches. You can imitate a herring. You can imitate a threadfin with that. Nice little small profile.
You'd go smaller over bigger?
Yeah, I think I would. I do a lot, and we kind of did today too. Kind of
downsized a little bit.
We downsized today to get a lot of them bites that we got.
Okay, so let me ask you this. From winter, and I say January, February, into early spring, a lot of guys are throwing these big glide baits, bigger baits, and then you get, of course, in your bed. Take your bed fishing out of it. But you get into the summertime. Do you think a lot of people are making a mistake by throwing those big baits, the full-size baits? And I know they're very popular. They catch a fish every once in a while. But you think the fish are keying in on smaller bait?
Sometimes they're keying in. Like we've seen some fish eating threadfin pretty good here recently. Just some little smaller threadfin shad. Well, they're not real small. They're probably
2-3 inches.
Yeah, they're probably about the size, about as long as you throw them.
Right.
Well, if you ain't got monkey fingers, you got a
little. Yeah, I ain't got no monkey fingers like that.
Yeah.
So today though, did any topwater bite at all happen for you guys today?
Oh, yeah, we got some topwater.
Now, was it earlier or later on in the day, or was it just any time?
Kind of earlier in the day, we got some topwater bites.
Were you targeting those topwater fish, or did you just see them come up and said, "Oh, let's throw it"?
Well, they were set up to eat it. They
okay.
were, kind of like the fella's question a while ago. Hey, what do you think it will be successful? There's not a magic bait to be successful with. The thing you want to do is go out and figure what your fish are doing and then fish accordingly to that.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just go out there and say, hey, that's this magic bait over here. There's no magic baits. You gotta take what your conditions are, what your fish are doing, and you got to take whatever bait that fits into that.
Okay. Now, so I don't forget. Tom Oswald had a comment. Yeah. About the guys with the round head when you post your pictures and everything.
They got some good genetics, don't they?
Good genetics.
Good
all
genetics.
That.
Hey, so and this could go down a whole nother rabbit hole. Everybody wants to learn fishing. Everybody's all about learning fishing. At the high school level, really any level. a lot of times people kind of get some static because they want to learn something, and they don't want to be heckled by somebody because hey, I want to go out with this guide because I want to learn. I want to learn this. I want to learn what he's doing. I want to learn how he's using this bait. So I keep confidentiality with my clients. If they don't want to be on social media, hey, I will completely leave them out of that. I work with a lot of tournament guys. I work with, all levels, different skill levels. Some guys beat me in tournaments. I'm like, man, I should be booking a trip with you. Why are you booking with me? But, hey, they come out to learn stuff. And, I give them that, hey, look, I'm not going to put you all over social media or tell anybody who you are, and I will not tell anybody anything. So, I will ask, hey, is it okay if, I put you on Facebook? Can I put you on my Facebook page? And if they say, please leave me off of it, hey, I'll leave them out of it. If they say, hey, give me one of them nice looking round heads, I'll give them one of them nice looking round heads. Here you go. You got some sunglasses and a top hat. There you go. So, that's something I do for my clients. And, also I don't, a lot of times I won't go and just say, hey, look, this is what we did to catch them. This is exactly what we did. If you want to learn that, come do a trip with me. I'll be more than glad to take you out there and show you what I'm doing, and teach you stuff, teach you how I'm using an underspin. It's probably a lot different than what a lot of people use it.
Yeah.
And I'm catching a lot of fish on it.
Okay.
Doing it that way.
Absolutely. Lanier Basson wants to know, was the bite better above the bridge or below? And I guess you're not going to give up your spots, but in a general sense, how about here recently? What are you seeing on the lake?
So,
and by the bridge, they're meaning highway
Browns
through
Browns
Bridge, which basically cuts off mid lake from south end, kind of.
So over the last, me and my wife went out the other day for 4th of July, and we kind of took our dog out and just kind of played around. I caught
You got a great dog.
Fish.
You got a great dog.
He's awesome, man. He's cool.
Pretty dog.
But yeah, we took him out and we kind of had a little day, and I fished a little bit, but caught fish kind of, everywhere. We caught them above the bridge, below the bridge. Sometimes up above the bridge, fish is a little different than below the bridge. But there again, hey, wherever you're at on the lake, figure out what your fish are doing. Make your lure presentations according to what your fish are doing.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to fish?
My favorite way to fish is to throw a bite-sized herring. That's my favorite. That's my favorite way to fish. If you have ever had that bite, I'm telling you right now, they will rip that rod out of your hand.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean, it's like you're reeling that thing in. You're watching it right there subsurface, and then all of a sudden this thing comes up and does an alligator roll on it. It's like somebody shot him up there.
It does, absolutely.
That is a fun bite.
Ron Swinford wants to know, I need to book a trip with him to learn how to catch fish on the underspin. Where'd my comment go? It is the bait that I've caught the least on compared to home, or to home, how much he's thrown it. So I was reading. I had a little bit of misspelling there. And, of course, me, Ron, you know me, I'm a little bit slower than the average guy right there. But we got you. So an underspin is a bait that you do utilize year-round.
Yeah.
Different ways.
Yep.
Now, when you and I were fishing, and what was it? Was that January, February, somewhere in there?
Yeah. So, I mean,
it was different then than what you're doing now.
Yeah. So.
Absolutely. So I will tell you this. I'll tell you this, Ron. Highly recommend you do that, because the cool thing about it is, and I will say this, look at that. I got my contacts on. I'm trying to push my glasses up. I got this old habit of trying to push my glasses up.
Trying to pick your nose.
No, I'm trying to push. Look, you can't miss with this nose right here. I was trying to push my glasses up. Listen, I know. I tell you what, getting old. But the cool thing about it was, when we fished, you said, all right, this is what you need to do with your underspin. This is how you want to present it. You want to cast it in this spot. And, we marked fish and all that, but just the way we were casting it in certain places, even if we didn't see fish there, because I was in the back of the boat,
right.
It worked. So it was how you presented the underspin.
Right.
And now I guess the same way. You still, you'll find them on your live scope and everything, but the guy in the back of the boat can also do certain techniques. What's your favorite technique with an underspin?
I guess I really like fishing in overbrush the best.
Overbrush.
Yeah.
Now, when you say
Yeah, I like
overbrush,
fishing in overbrush. Just kind of bringing it through and ticking the tops of the brush with it.
okay.
Just ticking the tops of the brush with it.
Doesn't matter how deep the brush is.
No, it doesn't matter. And you can tick timber tops too with it.
So you using like a half ounce?
I'm using a 3/8. I use Mr. Rob Williams got spot choker. I use a spot choker. That's a phenomenal underspin. If you've not thrown one, that's
pretty good.
One I throw.
Yep.
I keep that lives on my boat year round. There's different things I'll do with the bait. There's different plastics I'll put on it to get the bait to do different things. A lot of people are asking me, they're like, hey, do you throw a quarter? Do you throw this? Do you throw that? There's times when I will throw a half ounce, but 90% of the time, I'm throwing 3/8.
You threw a 3/8 in the wintertime when we were fishing together. You did. I remember that.
90% of the time I'll throw a 3/8 and I will make whatever bait adjustment that I need to make to get that 3/8 bait to do.
Yeah, let's jump on Dylan's comment. We're gonna get all the questions right there as quick as we can. But he put lots of times with the underspin, I've had them commit to it, but or follow it, but not commit. So when you're fishing the underspin on your forward facing sonar and you see the fish following it up, what would be the way you would change it to try to get that fish to bite?
Twitch it, pop it, burn it.
So would try to do something different with the underspin before you would change the plastic on it.
Fish don't just sit there and swim into that herring. Don't just turn around and swim into that bass's mouth. They're kind of trained to chase it.
Yeah. Okay. So
if
nature take over.
Yeah. If you're sitting there doing this here fishy stuff in his face, he's probably gonna be like, man, I done seen 300 of these things today. I'm not eating that. You got to convince him that it's real.
Okay, do something a little bit different.
Real.
All right. So Michael Temples, good to see you, buddy. Your question is, what type of swim bait on your underspin? Paddle tail or fluke type bait? And I guess that depends on the time of year.
Depends on what you're trying to get it to do, man.
So what you said earlier in the show, you said right now you're using a fluke on it.
Yep, I'm using a fluke on it.
Now let me ask you this. From a cloudy day to a sunny day, you change your fluke colors or your tail colors?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I'll go with and I pour my own flukes. So
you do.
Sometimes I'll go to a.
Let's shout that out. That they can be bought. Where can they be bought?
Yeah, from my website. I have a real hard time getting them caught up with everything I got going on. Right. It's just me solo.
Yeah,
I pour them. I do trips and. I kind of give up building fishing rods. I just ain't got time for it.
Yeah, I understand, but you build a mean rod. Now, don't you have one, Ryan?
He built me one hell of a rod.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. So I built
my specifications.
Yeah.
He's like on the phone with me. Are you sure? I was like, yes. Take that marker. Mark where I'm telling you to mark.
I got that.
I want it.
But how you look. Busy is good.
Oh yeah,
busy is good, but guys, if you want to, just be patient with him. He'll get them poured when he can.
Yeah, I get them poured. Normally I try to drop like 100 packs each at a time on my website, and then they're like gone. Like normally, what happens? 3 people will buy every one of them.
They do that. They do. That's
wait a minute. How many's he got on there?
Good. I know that Ryan comes. Guys that come by jigs from Ryan, they don't just come order 2 or 3 at a time. They order like 60. Hey, I need 60. We're like, where the hell are you fishing? You need 60 of these things. Connor Hewitt wants to know, what are your thoughts on fishing the underspin shallow?
Yeah. You fell either up there shallow, make whatever adjustment you need to make to it and throw it up there shallow.
No, how about this? Do what you say, Ryan?
They eat it.
They eat it, but let me ask you, so when you throw an underspin shallow, do you bring it across the top of the water, like the upper water column first? Do you go deep first? What are you trying to figure out when you're throwing one shallow?
So how are they responding to it? What are they doing up there? Are they up there pushing bait up on the bank? Man, I've caught them. I mean, different bait, but I've caught them on a spinner bait. Before when they was schooling really heavily in the back of a pocket.
Right.
And they were literally pushing bait out of the water, and that was how they were feeding. And you could throw that spinner bait where you thought the fish were, and you'll never get a bite. You throw that thing up there on the bank and give it about 3 cranks into the water, you'll catch one.
Right.
Yeah, I did that. I actually did that with an underspin with a client that I had. We got on a bike. I'm trying to think. I think it was, when was that? It was like October, November, somewhere around in there.
A little cooler weather.
Yeah, a little cooler weather. But what these fish were doing is they had some bait trapped in a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And, we went in there, and my client, he's looking at me. He's like, man, I can't believe I booked with this guy. This guy's nuts. He's taking me back here to fish in knee-deep water.
Right.
And we went up there, and we caught them like big ones, too, man. There was some big ones doing that. We caught like a 4-pounder, a 3.5, and then some other fish that was back there with them. But, I mean, we just went back there. And this was like, the funny thing about it is you would think that would have been like, oh, man, they'd be doing that early in the morning. Dude, they did it all day long.
Just feeding all day in the shallow water.
All day.
And that just leads to
many people don't understand.
They did it all day.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say, hey, we can only fish shallow the first 2 hours of the day. Then we got to go
That
deep.
is absolutely the most asinine statement.
But is it not true?
So they had them corralled. They had them corralled in there. Like the entire day, they had them corralled. It's like, hey, we got a barricade right here. Y'all, the bait fish, no, y'all ain't coming out of here. Y'all are in there.
Right.
We're hungry.
When they get them pinned in there, it's China buffet extreme.
Oh, that's right. Hey,
it's China buffet extreme. And if you ain't never experienced that, you will one day.
All right, pull up that. You got a comment that's just off the screen. It's the very first comment that's just off the screen, Ryan. Right there from Dustin Allen. Okay, what kind of rod and reel setup do you use for your jointed swim baits?
So I built me a custom deep cranking rod, and it's an 8-foot rod. I made it 8 foot long. I deep crank with it, and I also throw like the bigger glide baits, like the bite size herring, and I can sling those things with that 8 foot long rod.
Right.
Long ways.
So a lot of guys though they don't use such a big rod.
But it is a very parabolic rod. It's very bendy. Yeah, it's got a lot of bend to it, but it's still a big enough rod. I mean, the rod looks like a saltwater rod, really.
Yeah.
But that particular rod, man, I mean, I can throw deep diving crankbaits with it,
What would you say the action on it is? If you had to say the action,
if I was going to put action on that, I would put
medium heavy, medium
heavy
fast,
action.
A fast tip, or
Kevin, that rod's a moderate tip. It's a heavy.
Yeah,
moderate,
heavy action, moderate.
Okay.
Some people might say a slow action, however you call it.
Yeah. But that's what you like.
Yeah, that's what I would use. And then what it does for me is, I mean, that buries the hooks up. It keeps them pinned. So, I mean, and then I can sling that bait a country mile. And that's important when you're throwing jointed glide baits. You want to try to make as long of a cast as you can make. You want to keep that bait working in front of those fish as long as you can. Sometimes they'll follow it for a long ways and then they'll eat it.
Mm-hmm.
But you want to be able to present the lure the best way to have the best opportunity to get a bite on it.
Okay, absolutely. All right, real quick before we get to the next few questions, Ryan, if you don't mind, let's shout out our last sponsor of the night, Mr. Jason Sayers with J&S Construction and Elite Landscaping.
All right, Jason Sayers with Elite Landscaping and Construction. Excuse me. He is in the Lake Country. For all you guys that may be wanting to know, you can get in contact with him at 706-816-2049. He's been serving the Lake Country for over 20 years. That is J&S Contract Services, LLC, design, build, and remodel. And he is also the owner of Elite Landscape and Pressure Washing. Same number, 706-816-2049. You can also get in touch with Jason at jsayers316@live.com for either J&S Contracting Services or Elite Landscaping and Pressure Washing. That's Jason Sayers. You guys hit him up.
Absolutely. So as you can tell by what Ryan was saying, if you're in the Lake Country, use Jason. If you're up here in North Georgia, Charlie Adams with Adams Renovation. We got you guys covered. And, of course, if you guys want some apparel for her outdoors. Do you ever throw a tiny fluke and win? Or do you just throw the super fluke size?
So the fluke that I'm putting on my underspin is like a little fluke, little baby fluke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which was why, yeah, when you said I'm throwing a fluke on my underspin, I should have asked that question.
Baby fluke on there. Baby
okay,
fluke,
so it's still small.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, are you throwing a fluke any other way besides that?
Yeah, I mean, we threw
and when you throw it on top like that, is that a normal size fluke, super fluke?
Yeah. Normally if we're throwing fluke, not on the underspin, I don't throw the baby fluke.
Mm-hmm.
I throw the full size, like a 5-inch fluke.
Okay, and let me ask you this. Let's do this for guys that are listening, just to kind of help them out. You go out on the water. I'm gonna throw a fluke, cloudy day. What color are you throwing?
Something white or something with some color to it. You can, I catch them a lot on cloudy day doing, throwing pearl, throw something with some chartreuse or something like that on it, something with a sight kind of color, something they can see. If there's if you got a sunny day, of course, you can still. To me, pearl kind of goes either way. You can throw it cloudy or sunny. I catch them good on it both ways. So, sometimes, they'll do either or. And then I've also got a color I call my secret herring fluke, and that's something I've made for a while that I've been throwing. And then when I started doing trips, people were like, "Hey, what is that you're throwing?"
Yeah.
So I kind of like, that's something custom right there. That's mine.
That's yours. That's
hey,
right.
how can I get some of those? And then here I am pouring baits.
That's right. That's right. What spiel? Good Lord, it's been a long day. What speed
reel are you using?
Are you using for an underspin? And Connor Hewitt's at a 6-1 ratio for him on his spot choker. So what does Kevin Underwood use when throwing an underspin?
So what time of the year?
Okay, let's say right now. Let's just right now. Right now.
I want a fast action reel.
Fast reel.
Then you can ask some guys that have been on some trips with me recently. They missed some bites. Because they couldn't hook into them. And what it was, they're reeling this underspin along, and this fish comes up behind it. He's, your underspin. Which way is my hand going here? Okay,
just keep working. There you go. Yeah.
Underspin is going this way. The fish is going this way. He bites it, and he's going that way with it, and you never even felt a bite. So what do you got to do? You got to reel that thing into him and get him loaded up on it,
Right. Got to catch up with him.
You don't really want to bust him with it. I mean, you don't want to slackline him or nothing, because if you hit him with it and he had 5 of them behind him, then you just missed your opportunity to get another bite. And then also, if he didn't have it good, if he barely had it, you done pulled it slap out of his mouth. So
makes perfect sense. Scratch Fishing wants to know, what kind of line do you use?
I like Tatsu for most of my
I think he's specifically asking for underspins, flukes, and then the swim baits.
Okay, so that's a lot. So how about right now, underspins?
Okay, underspin, 10-pound Tatsu, maybe 12-pound Tatsu.
You use braid to leader?
No.
You go
straight fluorocarbon.
Straight fluoro. Okay, absolutely.
I throw it on a bait caster.
Really?
Okay,
that makes sense. All right, so for a fluke, what are you throwing?
For,
let's say topwater fluke.
I kind of like, sometimes I will throw it on a bait caster. It just depends. A lot of times I'll run out of rods.
Right.
And I'll be like, well, I'll just throw the thing on a bait caster. I'll let y'all throw it on a spinning rod. But generally, spinning rod with around 15 to 18-pound test braid to a 10 to 12-pound test leader for my fluke, and then put you a little swivel on there. If you want it to sink more, put a big swivel on there. If you want it to sink a little less, put a small swivel on there.
About how far above your fluke are you putting your swivel?
You go about a foot.
About 12 inches, okay.
Something you can cast good, isn't it? I really don't think they're sitting down there looking, look at the swivel in front of this thing. This ain't, they ain't gonna bite that. They ain't looking at that swivel.
Right.
Yep. But there's some pictures somewhere on my Facebook where I've kind of put a stinger hook on the fluke rig too.
Mm-hmm.
So the rigging was a little different on that.
Okay.
I had a day when I was trying to catch some fish. I'm like, man, I need to catch those fish. Them's the ones I need to catch. And I couldn't catch them. I was throwing a nose hook, and I was like, man, I can't hook up. They're bowling all over. They're missing it. Throw it any other way, of course, they were missing it. And I took one of the stinger hooks off of one of my spinner baits, and I put on that fluke, and then I put these 2 little stoppers on there, and man, I caught every fish after that.
Just by making
every
that
single fish was hooked like right here in the top lip.
By just bringing that stinger hook.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Not the treble hook like everybody likes to use. I couldn't get them. I tried that too. I couldn't get them to touch that. There was, I don't know, there's something about it. They wouldn't eat it when I threw that. But I put that other little hook on there and they did it.
Okay.
Caught them good that day.
All right. Ryan, Harold's girlfriend wants to know something, and I have no idea what the question is.
What's the difference between a mile and a country mile?
A mile and a country mile?
Mile and country mile. Country miles all the way across the country, right?
It's a long way, buddy.
Mile is like, get up there, clock a mile.
Yeah, all I saw was my girlfriend wants to know, and I did not know where that question was going, but I'm glad we got that. So a mile is a mile, and a country mile is whatever you want to make it past a mile.
Across California.
There you go. So you're throwing a country mile. Let's just put it this way. We'll settle it right here. It's a long ass way.
It's a long way.
It's a long way. What is best fishing right now? North or south of Lake Lanier? North side or south side?
You can go catch fish wherever. You just gotta throw what the fish are doing.
Right.
That's what you could go anywhere on the lake and catch a fish, but you got to go make the correct adjustments
Mm-hmm.
to catch them. Now, for me, I'm staying kind of south. I feel like I'm gonna catch bigger fish down there.
Is it more consistent down there?
It seems to be more consistent down there. Up the lake, I tend to catch. I catch some good ones up there.
Right.
But what I end up doing, I end up catching the really long fish. I catch the 24-inch long 3-pounder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do.
He looks like a snake.
I do. You see the head on it, and it should weigh like 6 pounds, but
yeah,
it
he's
weighs
like,
3.
man, if this fish right here, hey, we don't know what we're gonna take this fish down south. Let's try to come back and catch him again.
Go down there where the food is, and you go down there where the food is, and you'll be pretty good. All right, right there. So fishing 5 days a week.
Okay, you're gonna keep skipping over that one.
Huh?
Go ahead.
I hear Ryan's. My bad. I thought Ryan was saying something. So you're fishing 5 days a week with clients and stuff like that. What is the best brand of reels that hold up the best for you?
So for me, on a spinning reel, I really like the Shimano Stratics.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have no trouble with them. They're very durable. They hold up for me. The drag system's awesome. 2,500, 3,000, the silver ones.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good reels. As far as the bait casters go, I'm probably not going to buy nothing but a Chronarch from now on. They just seem to, I ain't killed one yet.
I like that. I ain't killed one. I ain't killed one yet. What's a good?
Had to put some oil on it. Some of them making some noises, but we still throwing them. So
okay.
Connor Hewitt wants to know what kind of rod do you throw a spot choker on?
So for me, I kind of like a medium light, fast action.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Length
says
7.2.
Okay.
What color spot choker
has been working best for you? Which we're talking about the head color now.
We get hung up on head color here.
I don't get hung up too much on head color. I do think the chartreuse has got its days. If you go out there on a cloudy day, you pair it with something chartreuse. I know Mr. Rob had a phenomenal day one day. He paired that chartreuse head with one of my secret herring flukes, the babies.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a really good day throwing that. And for me, I don't really care. I'm kind of like a pearl or the silverback. I'm kind of pearl or silverback. I'm gonna
skip Connor's next question. Go to scratch fishing. Red eyes versus silver, or does it matter?
It don't matter.
It don't matter.
For me, I don't care. I don't care what color eyes.
Okay.
You can take the eyes off. I'll
Me
throw
neither.
Okay. All right. Well, that makes a lot of people like that, but then some people believe that it makes a difference. What's your top water rod?
Top water rod.
Mm-hmm.
For what bait?
Okay. Well, let's just cover a couple baits.
So for a smaller bait, kind of like let's see, we'll just say a gunfish.
Okay.
The little small gunfish. I ain't sure exactly what the number is on it, but
95.
the little small gunfish. Yeah, 95. There you go, Ryan.
He's good for something.
Yeah, you good for something, Ryan. I really like to throw my top waters, especially if I'm going to be walking them. I like to throw them on braid. So I'll throw them on 18 to 20 pound braid. And what I'll do is I'll get like a 30-pound monofilament leader. monofilament leader,
Okay.
not fluorocarbon.
Okay.
And I will tie that, on there. I'll kind of use like an Alberto knot, and I'll tie that, connect it to that lure. And what it does on your walking baits, it really lets that thing walk a lot better.
How long's your leader?
It's not very long. Like I said,
just enough to give that action.
Something to give you that action, and something that you're not going to be reeling the knot up into the rod.
Okay.
So I kind of keep it, right there, about a little less than a foot.
Okay. He specifically wants to know walking bait, so that was he's got down there. So for a walking bait.
Yeah, so I really like the braid. You can cast that braid. You're gonna mess it up. You're gonna backlash it. It's gonna get aggravating. But if you get where you can throw it, practice with it. Get where you can throw it. You'll really appreciate that braid and being able to make those long casts with it.
Okay. Derek White, glad to see you tonight. What's the hot bait right now? I've not been since he talked to you about your trolling motor. When your trolling motor broke in. What's the hot bait right now? If you had one bait right now to go on Lake Lanier, what would it be?
One bait.
One bait. You only get one.
Right now.
You only get one.
I'd throw a fluke. Throw a fluke.
A fluke?
Fish, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, he said the hot bait right now.
That's right, he did.
To get bites.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to change some rigging on it to get them hooked up, though. There's gonna be days when they just boil all over, and you're like, "Dang, I missed another one."
Right.
Missed another one.
I got you.
Those stinger hooks. Sometimes you gotta be careful with them though, because when they're eating it good, they'll get the stinger hook.
Okay.
Down in there.
All right.
The other thing he was talking about the day that he come up on us, we were fishing the Fishers of Men Open, and I think we finished fourth in that. We third or fourth, I think. And that day it was my stupidity. It was my fault because I'm sitting there. I'm like, man, I know where there's a big largemouth at. We got to go fish for this thing. We need a big bite because I'm like, man, there's a lot of really good anglers in here. We're gonna have to get a bigger bite,
right?
And so we're running across the lake, and it's rough. I mean, it's rough, and I'm giving it hell, dude. I mean, I got that thing.
You've been known. I've heard.
I am wide open through that stuff. And I hit some waves, and we busted the bolt that holds the head of the trolling motor onto the arm, and that bolt come out, and all the parts come out, and they come across the boat. And we're like, Kennedy, he looks at me, he says, what are we going to do, man? I said, let me think. I said, you know what? I bet you the service department over here at Port Royal, I bet you they've got something that we can put in there to use to fix this with. And we get over there, we pull up behind the Port Royal, and man, there's people everywhere. Kennedy lets me off on the dock. I run up there to get a bolt. So I take what's left of that one up there to match up the threads and go up there and get a bolt. We ain't got no tools. The lady, she's like, oh, I can loan you a tool, but nobody brings them back. And I'm like, I'll be that guy not bringing it back. So I'll just use my needle nose.
Right.
So anyway, we were over there for about 2 hours down trying to put that trolling motor back together.
Good Lord.
And
but just because of the rough water and everything.
And my stupidity of trying to run it too hard to get to, we was trying to win it.
Well, you're in it to win it. You're in it to win it. So that's right.
We were out there going, man. We was going to catch them.
I don't blame you.
So, yeah,
you do what you got to do.
We had 30 minutes left to fish.
Yeah.
And I mean, dude, every place we were pulling up to, 3-pounder, 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 3-pounder. Hey, I really think we could have got, all we needed was a 4-pounder.
Yeah.
All we needed was 1 4-pounder that day.
Right.
That was it. I believe we could have got it if I'd have just.
Yeah, well, it happens. So in the heat of competition, we all do some things every once in a while. Wyatt Richards wants to know, what size hook are you throwing the mini fluke on with a spot choker? So as far as your spot choker, what size hook do you like?
Don't go no bigger than a 3/0 hook at the biggest, because what you'll end up doing is you'll try to thread that thing up on there, and then it'll be all crooked and jacked up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Facebook user, again, if you want to, you can go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, put your name in there. But when is the next tournament? Now, if you're talking about the Hammonds, I guess it might be next Thursday. Generally, that's when they run those. Do we have any weekend tournaments going on this weekend?
I don't know.
So you're not fishing one this weekend. I don't know. So
If something pops up, if I ain't
I'm
got a
sure.
client, I'll jump into something.
I'm sure they're doing it. Grab some flukes, hooks, and stingers, and show us how you rig it. Well, I wish we had some right there. We don't have any down here right now, but that would have been a good thing. Just kind of maybe you can describe for somebody out there how you rig your stinger.
So I'm rigging it on a like a Pro V worm hook, a 5/0 Pro V worm hook. Trokar makes it, and I'm using who makes this? Hayabusa makes a stinger hook, and that's the stinger hook that I'm rigging, and I rig the stinger hook down. So you'd put a stopper on the hook. Of course, your flukes on there, and then I put like a little rubber collar to hold that stinger hook on,
Mm-hmm.
and then you put your worm hook into the back of the fluke.
Okay.
So your fluke, it kind of acts like a kill for the fluke too.
Okay.
Rigging it that way, so like you're fishing your fluke along, it's going along, then it just kind of flutters down. It don't really like
doesn't roll or
nothing. It kind of kills it, and then it kind of glides a little bit.
Okay. All right. So
when
there you
rig
go.
it that way. So it's pretty cool way to rig it.
Okay. I got a question. Any electric tournaments? I do know that you have up until 12 p.m. tomorrow to register. Joey Morris with Electric Bass Opens is throwing an open tournament on Hickory Log in Canton tomorrow, Saturday, this Saturday. But you have to register if you go to Electric Bass Opens or whatever. You have to register by 12 noon tomorrow to get the fish that. I think it's $50-$60. I'm not sure exactly what it costs, but that is one electric tournament that's an open tournament that I know is happening on Hickory Log this coming up Saturday. So the stinger doesn't go through the fluke. We're back to that stinger.
No, it don't go through the fluke. It just swings. Free swings.
Free swings.
Free swinging stinger hook.
Okay, so it's free swinging. So
free swinging.
It's upside down, right?
Yes.
Upside down, free swinging stinger hook.
Your worm hook is this way. Your
Mhm.
stinger hook is going to be this other way.
I like that. Look at that picture right there. Yeah, there you go. So that works. So there you go. The electric tournament, my guess would be generally probably this time of year, 6 a.m. But you need to go to Facebook, look up Joey Morris, Morse, and he will have more information on that tournament right there. So question about guiding, and this is just for me right now. As far as somebody wanted to book a trip, what is something that you can kind of tell them to kind of prepare them for the trip? Maybe something you've learned that clients come in and they're not aware of, they're not set up for. Just some tips or advice for somebody interested in booking a trip as to what would make it easier for them to get the day started.
Let me answer first.
Let you answer. Go ahead and
first.
answer. Go ahead.
You're going to find out if you fish with Kevin that fish have a lot of different names.
All right. What are some of the names of fish?
Look at that joker right there.
Look at that joker right there. Is that
it? He's up there throwing at one. He said, that knucklehead don't want to do nothing.
Listen, look at
Hey, it really depends on how those fish are responding to what I'm throwing at them.
Right.
I mean, hey, that joker might not be biting good, huh? We're going to keep it clean, all right?
Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah. So it's like we could go a lot of different directions for that question. Okay, there you go. So Scotty Edwards, Hickory Open, $60 a boat, 5:30 a.m. launch. Okay, so getting out there early. That is early, boy. Ooh, that's really early. Do you prefer fishing real shallow, or do you feel you can catch better fish deep? Which one, deep or shallow? Right now, let's talk about right now because it's July in the South. I mean, the temps during the day are in the 90s. What's the water temp? What's the water temp today when you were out there?
Dude, I ain't even gonna lie to you. I ain't even looked at that water.
You ain't looked at the water temp? I like that. I like that.
Hey, but it's probably around 80, 82, 83.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
on the south end of Lanier.
Yeah, it's around 82, 83. I think I glanced.
Which one do you like better, going deep or shallow?
So as far as locations right now, I would say out deeper.
Okay.
Now there'll be times when you can get them fish to come up to the surface. There'll be times when you can't get them fish to come up at all. There'll be times when you can't get them fish to do anything. And I'll say this: I would definitely think about the river channel and the current. River channel and current in the summertime is where you're going to get bit. Even when, man, they ain't pulling no water today, though. Rivers are still running.
Right.
Rivers are still going to move through the lake. So sometimes you need to think kind of stuff like that.
Good tip.
Yeah, I had a phenomenal day with a client. Now we were riding a struggle bus earlier in the day, and then we got some weather in back. Man, let's see. One of these days, basically just about every day this week, we've got some weather in, and it's kind of, in the summertime when you get some foul weather, some rain, some wind, and you might want to think about some bigger baits and throwing stuff over them. Like that particular day, we were throwing glide baits, and dude, I don't even know how many we caught.
Right.
I mean, I really don't. I don't know how many we got. It's like, oh God, he's got one. No, now you're loaded up. Oh, we doubled again. I mean, that's how it was.
So the weather change triggered them.
Yeah, the weather change and the rain falling. I mean, we were out there getting wet, but I mean, the fishing was so good. I mean, who cares about getting wet? Until the lightning hit. Now lightning hit. Hey, let's go.
That changes. That changes a little bit. I understand. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it ain't worth dying over now. That's for sure. And lightning is definitely one thing that you don't want to play around with on the lake. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let me ask Kevin Underwood, what is the one type of fishing that you struggle with the most? What's your weakness? What's your kryptonite? If you had one technique, you're like, you know what, this would be the absolute last thing I would try, just because I hate it.
I don't know. I mean, I ain't trying to sound arrogant or anything, but I'm very adaptable to
That's good.
To a lot of different stuff.
What would be the last thing you would try then? How about that? Like you got to pull out. You ain't caught a fish all day. You've tried all of it, and you're like, I'll try this.
The last thing I would try,
you fourth and long, you're throwing it deep.
Well,
I know you ain't about that Ned life.
Oh, yeah.
For me, yeah, probably a Ned rig.
I know you. I know you well enough to know you ain't about that Ned life.
Nah, Ryan's right. I'm probably not gonna throw a Ned rig, and really, to be honest with you, I do catch a lot of fish on a drop shot, and I'm really good with it. But I really don't want to sit there and piddle with it. If I got to sit and piddle for fish, I like to do stuff where I can present a bait to as many fish as I can. And yeah, I fish a 3/8 on my drop shot. It's getting down there, and I'm out of there.
Right.
If he don't bite it, I'm gone.
Okay, makes sense.
I'm out.
Makes sense.
That's generally my go-to weight on my drop shot. It's 3/8. I'm gonna throw a 3/8 in there, and I'm gonna see if he's gonna bite it, or I'm gonna go find one that will. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that would kind of be my last thing that I'm gonna go to.
Okay. Great question right here from Facebook user. So he's just hopping on. It has not been asked yet, so we're going to ask it right now. How do you think the generation schedule affects fishing? Is the current actually noticeable on the lake when the dam is pulling? I've never paid attention, honestly. So first, let's do the last question first. When they are pulling, can you notice it while you're on the water?
So, it depends on where you're at. I think if you are, just for an example, between Port Royale and the bridge, I think there's times when they're really pulling heavy. If there's not a lot of wind and boat traffic, you'll kind of see some current moving through there. But like when you're in you're wide open spaces out there, you're probably not going to see a lot of current.
It's there. You're just not visibly going to see it.
Visibly seeing the water moving, and then you're probably not going to even notice your boat drifting. Your boat's probably going to get blown by the wind more than it's going to get pulled by the current.
All right. Now, what about the fishing? How does it affect when they are pulling as opposed to when they're not pulling?
In the summertime, man, you better watch the generation schedule, because if you got some good schools of fish located, and you can't get them to bite, you go over there when they're pulling water, and you're gonna get them to bite. You're gonna get bites.
What do you reckon it is about that just kicks the fishing?
It's like anything with summertime fishing. Fish want to be in, oxygenated current, deeper, cooler water.
Which goes to what you just said a few minutes earlier. Really pay attention to that river channel.
Yeah. So I wrote a thing, and I put. Sometimes I do like little write ups on certain stuff that I think will help people that follow my social media stuff. I did a little write up on extremes. Talking about really, I kind of, steered it toward extreme heat for summertime fishing. So, it's pretty cool write up. I put a little bit of thought into it. It's all from kind of right here, when I wrote it. But y'all could go check that out and read that.
And that's on Facebook?
Yeah, that's on my page.
Okay. Lipstick or Fishing?
Yeah.
On Facebook. Okay.
But it talks about, fishing extremes, extreme depths. There's also extreme bait presentations, like cranking a crankbait and burning it as fast as you can burn it. Or the other extreme would be fishing something really, really slow, like dragging a jig. It's hot. The fish don't want to do anything. So you're sitting out there and just barely
really slow. Yeah.
Just barely moving it. So that kind of covers that on what I wrote up there, talking about that. But
okay. Do you know Roland Wade? I guess I don't know if they're asking me or asking you. I have no idea right now. I call everybody Bud, so everybody's Bud to me until you've been around a while.
You might be Bud.
Yeah, he might be Bud. So, that name does sound familiar, but absolutely.
Roland Martin.
I know Roland Martin for sure. We had a conversation. Ryan put out a video. We talked about this, changing, steering it a little bit different, about the Bassmaster magazine put out their top 100 lakes. And what was that lake in Texas that was number one? Ohio. Ohio. What is it? Ivy. Okay, so hey, we can't argue with that. But we took exception with the way they ranked the Georgia lakes in the Southeast. The top Georgia lake on that list was Lake Sinclair, and you kind of had an interesting take of it up there. Is Lake Sinclair the top ranked lake in Georgia?
In my opinion, no, absolutely not.
Right. Well, that was our opinion too. That was our opinion. So just for those that don't know or didn't get to watch the video that Ryan put out, it is on our YouTube page. They had Sinclair, then they had Eufaula. We count that. It's on the border. Then they had Seminole, Hartwell, and then Lake Lanier was the lowest ranked Georgia lake. And we can, like I said, if you're on the border, we consider it. If you had to rank those lakes in order, Sinclair, Eufaula, Seminole, Hartwell, Georgia, how would Kevin Underwood rank those lakes from top to bottom, from the best to the worst of those 5 lakes?
So I would definitely put Lanier as number 1 lake in Georgia. World-class spotted bass lake.
How can a world-class lake not be number 1?
So, I mean, you can catch a 20-pound bag in Lanier any given day of the week, year, whatever.
I know.
And if you don't believe it, go down there to a Scott Barnes tournament because somebody's going to have them.
Yeah, if you got 19.
Somebody's going to have them.
Absolutely.
Then, and I get it, a lot of it is, hey, we've got a lot of good talent on Lanier. I mean, there are so many good fishermen on Lanier. Phenomenal. I ain't gonna name no names, but there's a lot of guys out there that I got a lot of respect for when I see them in tournaments. I mean, even today, I was kind of like, let me see who's fishing today. I was like, is he doing anything today? I was like, oh man, I'm glad that dude's today.
I understand.
Yeah, I mean, we got them guys out here, man. Yeah. They're phenomenal. So, hey, they kind of tap into these bigger fish, and they're there.
Yeah.
And I think any given lake, if you take the daggone local hammers and put them on the lake, yeah, they're going to catch them. I mean, anywhere you go, they're going to catch them.
Right.
But I would, going back to that question, I would kind of rank it, Lanier number 1, Hartwell number 2,
Yeah, Sinclair, Eufaula, and Seminole.
Eufaula, then Seminole. And I
then-
don't know that much about Seminole. I'm
and
not
then
going to try
Sinclair
to act like I
last?
know. Yeah, Sinclair would be
What about
dead
Oconee?
last on that
Okay, yeah.
list.
So we have a question. We do have a question. Facebook user wants to know, what about Oconee? And again,
Yeah, I would put Oconee on that list.
yeah, and again, this is Bassmaster Magazine's list. This is not something we came up with. We're just reacting to their list. Oconee was not on the list, but we did notice one thing when we were reading the descriptions. A lot of the reasons given were tournaments that happened in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Yeah.
the one thing about Lanier is in the spring, you got your spots that are there and you got the largemouth that are showing up. But then you can go every single week of the year on Lanier, and it's going to take 19, 20
Yeah.
just to win local tournaments, much less
Yeah.
a big one coming in.
I mean, we've been dealing with post spawn fish now for 2 months.
Yeah,
We're still catching a lot of fish that are just beat up.
right.
And they don't have the weight on them. And, during that time, we're still seeing some phenomenal bags of fish come out of Lanier.
Yeah.
Lanier is a phenomenal fishery, even in a post-spawn phase.
Do you think it
these
doesn't get
fish
the
still are
respect?
heavy.
Do you think it doesn't get the respect because it's spotted bass and everything else they rank as pretty much largemouth lakes?
Yeah, so, I mean, everybody's got this thing about catching largemouths. I love catching largemouths, too. And, when I go somewhere, if I can catch largemouths, man, I'm a happy camper. But these spots, man, I love them to death. Boy, these things are fun.
They are.
They are a lot of fun.
They're pissed off fish.
Dude, they are angry.
Yeah, they are. That's the way to
They
say
are
it.
angry. These things, I mean, it's like, little mini tanks with bad attitudes, or little mini subs with bad attitudes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this, Lanier, phenomenal spotted bass lake.
Let me ask you this. If you could catch a 7-pound spotted bass versus a 13-pound largemouth, which one would you take?
Which one would I take? I'm taking the largemouth, dude.
Now you'll go with largemouth on that. 13. All right. How about 7-pound? How about 6-pound spotted bass versus 10-pound largemouth? You still want that largemouth?
Yeah.
Just because it's 10-pound largemouth, you broke double digits on.
I want to see him dance. I do like watching them largemouths
come up and do all the splashing and all that.
They're a lot of fun. A lot of times, spots do it too, but spots kind of have a tendency. Certain times of the year they'll just kind of dig.
Right.
They just kind of dig.
They're gonna bulldog you.
Yeah, they don't do that acrobatic stuff, but now they're still a fun fight. I mean, they don't do the acrobatic stuff a lot of times. Sometimes they'll dig. Sometimes they will do the acrobatic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of depends on what mode they're in.
I got you.
Yeah.
Whoever made that list should put the pipe down. That's kind of listen. That's kind of what we were thinking. Don't know a lot about the other lakes across the country, and I'm sure people can chime in on that. But in the South, it was kind of. I will say that what was it? It was Lake Murray, Ryan. That was the number one lake in the South.
Lake Murray was number one in the Southeast,
and that ended up nationally
overall.
Number 4. Have you ever fished Murray?
I don't think I have.
Ryan says it's phenomenal when you get there.
Largemouth and blueback herring.
Largemouth and blueback herring. So it's that combination. Now, somebody just put, Facebook user said, got a 25-pound bag at Lake Oconee this past weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. And Scott Edwards, I do agree with you 100% on this. I think Bassmaster's list is predicated on their bias towards largemouth bass. But my thinking is if you can go, like I said, if you get the magazine, that's great. If not, you need to go look it up. But all the descriptions of the lakes pretty much were in April. They caught Fishers of Men had a 26-pound bag. And in January, somebody caught this. And they're all January to basically, what do you say, Ryan? April, May, pretty much. Then, but I think
outside of the Northeast lakes.
Yeah. And then I think that Lanier is capable of putting, like you said, you got to put a 20. If you're going to fish a legit tournament, and even some of those local 10 boat pot tournaments, but on these legit tournaments like Scott Barnes runs and all that.
Oh yeah.
If you're coming into the scales with 17 or 18 pounds, a lot of them guys just let their fish go because they're not in the money.
We've done it. We legit dumped 17 and a half pound bag back in one of his tournaments. Just walk right by, dump them in the lake, dude. Top 20 is 18 plus.
That's it. Now, I do think Ron Swinford's got a hell of a comment right here as far as spotted bass, because as many of us know, there are really two types of spotted bass. Spotted bass are underrated because in most places they are those little Kentucky spots. They have never seen those Alabama spots or had one pull. And Lanier's got the Alabama type spots in it. Coosa, that's it. That's how we know him here is the Coosa River spots. What's up, Earl Porter? How you doing, buddy? But do you think that the spotted bass is kind of an underrated species when it comes to Bassmaster magazine?
Yeah, probably so. And I think a lot of local people, really probably anywhere, they probably spotted bass gets a little bit of hate because
a lot of places are invasive.
Yeah. It's a fun fish. He really is. And it's not up to me to try to take him out. For me, I always tell people, hey, I don't want to catch these stripers, man. Y'all come get your stripers over here.
Yeah, right.
Me and Kennedy, we fished a thing a while back, and dude, we didn't, we ended up getting into money in that tournament, but dude, we didn't even have the right species of fish caught. Halfway through the tournament, all we could catch was these stripers. He asked me, he said, what are we going to do, man? I said, we're going to wait for these stripers to move off here, and then we'll catch the spots. And they did. They moved off.
Right.
We kept running what we were running and finally got into the spotted bass and caught some good ones and ended up getting in the money that day. I can't remember what tournament that was. But that happened to us a few weeks ago, month ago, something like that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. When you're pulling up in a creek, part of the lake, and you see a lot of striper boats, how does that affect you as far as do we need to fish here? Because if stripers are there, I imagine the bait's there.
It don't really affect me. I mean, I got to deal with them.
Okay, yeah.
Like I said, like I was saying, it's not for me to take them out. I mean, they're a living thing. They're there.
Yep.
I catch them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One good pointer I'd give people too is, that are striper fishing. Hey, so even to take care of those fish, what I'll do is I'll take my plug knocker, it's a hound dog.
Mm-hmm.
You run it down there, you retrieve your lure, you get your crankbait hunting in the tree, you run it down there, you knock your lure out of the tree. A lot of times what I'll do is, we'll catch these stripers and they fight so hard, they're just out of gas when you get them to the surface. So you can't really get them back down. What I'll do is I'll take that hound dog and I'll shove it in his mouth and feed him line out to get him back down there to that cooler water, and then just kind of yank that thing out of its mouth. And that kind of helps take care of them. So I do try to do my part to take care of them. But no, I don't really want to go out there and have a bunch of stripers. But at the same time, to answer your question, hey, if they're there eating bait, guess who else is going to be there eating that bait? My fish is going to be there eating that bait right there alongside of him.
That was my point.
If I'm going to catch him, I'm going to have to deal with both of them.
Okay, that was my point. So, Charles Wiznant, I hope I pronounced that right. Again, appreciate you watching. I see you do a lot of fishing on the south end. Of course, now your boat, you can't hide that boat. It's a pretty boat. Can't hide that boat, just like your truck. Do you just prefer that end, or do you feel like it holds a better quality of fish? I think we've kind of covered it a little bit, but once again, south end, you spend a lot of time down there. You mentioned probably better quality of fish, at least right now.
Yeah. So like, you was talking about largemouth on Lanier, and I'm not trying to spin off into a different thing. I'm going to answer
you go wherever you want to go, babe.
But
babe, I'm just so used to saying that. My bad.
Babe.
Did
you call me babe?
I did call you babe on accident. It's a different world today.
What you got over there, buddy?
Listen, bartender, it's time to go home.
Hey, but
Kevin's
anyway,
looking cute now.
But oh god, dude, I don't even think I look cute.
Don't sell yourself short.
For you Spotify listeners, Kevin's red in the face.
Kevin's blushing. I know, yeah.
That's not.
He don't even remember the damn question.
That's not red face. That's suntan.
Suntan.
Suntan. But anyway, to answer that question, I do feel like at certain times of the year, there's different parts of the lake that can fish a little better and produce some bigger fish.
Mm-hmm.
And being that we just come out of a phase where you've seen a lot of people catching a lot of largemouths. So you can kind of specifically target those largemouths when they get up there and they get to moving into their spawning areas. You can kind of pick on them.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, there's some big largemouths over here. Everybody's up there catching them. And you just seen it too. It's like, you could tell by Facebook, everybody's catching, oh, there's another guy done caught a big largemouth. And we just seen that, go through a phase. Yeah, you're going to continue to see largemouth caught because they're there. But at certain times of the year, I think different areas of the lake are more productive because of, what the fish are doing. So like right now, do I think you're going to catch a bigger bag of fish down south? 100%. You're going to catch bigger ones down south because those fish are down there eating the primary forage in Lake Lanier, which we kind of touched on this earlier, talking about the food source. Those fish are down there eating the primary forage, and they're going to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Let me ask you this about Lake Lanier or any other lake you fish. If you could make one change on Lake Lanier, what would it be? It can be whether changing the fishing, changing the regulations, whatever. If you could make one change, you had the power to make one change, what would it be?
I would anything.
Anything. Absolutely.
Okay, here
anything.
we go.
Can of worms.
This would be probably a Corps Engineers deal. What I would like to see is a no wake zone, however many yards out, whatever they would give the boaters, the people that are loading and unloading their boats in at the ramps, have a no wake zone in front of the ramps, like Bayless Creek, for example. I like Bayless Creek. I love using Bayless Creek.
Right.
Ryan knows exactly what I'm talking about. No wake zone.
Let's put in at Bayless Creek. Let's just go around a circle.
Put it 100 yards out there. No wake zone. I mean, we've got seawalls in front of marinas, and then no wake zones way out in front of that.
Right.
And where you have a place where people are loading and unloading boats, it's free for all over there. I mean, you could drive your boat right up on the ramp if you want to over there,
okay.
and they do it.
Yeah, no, okay.
They do it.
That's absolutely.
But I mean not just blowing steam or whatever. Hey, that is a safety concern too. I've seen a guy over there one day. He had his John boat come slap off his trailer, landed on the boat ramp
because of the weight coming from a boat.
It pushed his boat right off of his trailer.
Really?
I mean, he was not a real big John boat. I mean, it was a smaller John boat, but I mean, still, I mean, that's, it's a loading and unloading zone. Please make it a no wake zone out there.
Okay.
I'll honor it. Make it a no wake zone.
The Moombas and the Malibus absolutely love to sit in front of Charleston Park, Bayless Creek, Van's Tavern, Keith's Bridge, and go round and around and around.
The Moombas, they do.
Hey, so and they're like,
hey, so now, like, I don't have a problem with people enjoying the lake. I mean, go out there and enjoy the lake.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you something. This is probably gonna sound funny to a lot of people. Hey, I love it when them boats get to running around out there in the summertime. Y'all get out different. There. Hey, y'all go out there. Y'all run over them fish. Y'all stir them things up because I'm about to go over and catch them.
Yeah.
Stir them up. Make some current. Create some current. Get this water moving.
Chop it up a little bit.
There you go.
It is the one time of the year where you're out here like this. Come closer.
Get over here, run these fish over. They sitting right here. They ain't doing nothing. Run them over.
I got you right there. Fishing with Farmer, buddy. Glad to see you. Actually thought about you today. Like, I ain't talked to Farmer in forever, so I'm glad to know you're still alive right there. So appreciate you joining us tonight. His phone's broke?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. How is anybody's phone broke this day and age? Harold Grizzle, people have no respect for each other anymore. Now, respect, we don't even have to get into it, but I know you dealt with that earlier in the year, but it is true. I know about that. Listen, hey,
everybody.
I'm going to say it because I know if a guy's in the back of a pocket, give him that pocket. You ain't got to try to weed your way in there to fish the last 10 foot when he's just, you guys know what I'm talking about. So do that. All right. So one change you said that was kind of, I did not know that's where you were going to go. I was thinking you'd be like, hey, we need more bait. We did this.
I think that would make the lake a lot better. It'd make it a lot safer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've got some pretty deep scars on my boat personally from being up underneath of the dock over there.
Yeah.
When that was going on, but
it's
not
what
really
it is.
much
Yeah.
I can do about it.
There's not. Yeah.
Hey, I remember one time somebody calls me and we're fishing a 4 to 12 tournament. Somebody calls me at 4:30 and says, "Hey, you got a big old nut wrench on in your tackle bag or in your bag in the back of your boat?" Yeah, why? Yeah, my spotlight lost where it was at, and it run itself up.
Run itself up on the. Was that because it was so rough out there?
Did that when I was floating.
It lost connectivity.
No, it had some kind of malfunction. I don't know.
Oh, it was yours.
It lost its mind and went up there and climbed up the rock.
He called me. He was like, "You got a big old pair of channel locks in your boat?" And I said, "Yes, I do. I got all kinds of tools in my boat." And I said, "What do you need?" He said, "My trolling motor just,
went crazy.
Went up against the rocks at Bolden Mill." And I said, "I'm right around the corner. I'll be over there to come help you." That
thing was on there. So
I leaned over the side of that thing, and I was like,
I couldn't get it off, man.
That thing off.
I sit there and I fished all day, man. I swear I was scaring the fish off with that thing. That thing's like,
it was loud. It was loud.
It was all out of balance. It was like chewed up, man. All those little strings of pieces of plastic making all kind of underwater sounds.
Well, it happens. It happens to the best of us. I want to make sure I give you time again. If somebody, because again, if you've been watching this tonight, Kevin's been real gracious with the information, and there've been a lot of comments about what a good time and what they've learned. People that have had trips with him. So definitely want to make sure I give you one more opportunity before I forget, because I'm prone to do it. If somebody wants to book a trip with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you to book a trip? Now, you do other lakes, but primarily Lanier, right?
Yeah, I'll go wherever.
You'll go wherever.
We'll see if we can break down some patterns, figure something out.
But if somebody wants to get in touch with you tomorrow and book a trip for you in the coming weeks, how do they do it?
Facebook Messenger is a good one. My email is a good one, kevin@lipstickerfishing.com, or you can call me or text me. Probably be better off to text me because I get a lot of messages. And 678-459-8419.
You got a trip tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
All right, then okay, that's good. So we've been going about an hour and 40. It is 9:40, and I mean you got to get up early.
I'm good.
I know you're good. I know you're good, but I'm gonna be.
Red Bull will give you wings.
Red Bull will give you wings. So, but I listen. First of all, I want to tell you thank you for your time. I hit you up when we finally figured out we had the fiber hooked up Wednesday. I said I got to get somebody on the show. You were the first one I hit, and you graciously said, "Yeah, I'll be there." So I want to thank you for coming up.
Yeah,
do that. And again, like I fished with Kevin. I had a really good time. I learned a lot, and we were just out fishing. We just went out and had fun, and he was still teaching me while we were fishing that day. So
yeah, that's what I try to do. Try to feel for my client and see, hey, exactly what does he want from me?
Mm-hmm.
And I hope I always get it right. I'm sure I probably don't all the time, but I always try to read my clients and see what they want from me. Sometimes a lot of times I'll fish on the front of the boat with my clients.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell them, I'll be like, hey, you come right up here, fish right here next to me. Come up here to the front of the boat. Come on, don't be shy. Get up here. Let's watch what's going on so you can learn and have a good experience.
I had a good experience.
Yeah,
we had a lot of fun.
So,
we caught some pretty good fish.
Yeah, we did. We caught them some good ones that day. You caught one like right under the boat that day.
They did. Yeah, they did. It was.
I was like, hey, put it right there, dude. Just let it sit.
I tell you what. No, I will tell you this. This is what he did teach me. So I'll give up. I'll give this up. Dane Hunter. Real quick comment. Again, we're blowing a little smoke. Get Kevin to set up your graphs. He will hide his honey holes, which he should. But he did a great job on the graphs and everything. Hey, listen. I told you at the beginning of this show, he ain't gonna give you up all the juice. That's what we called it. But he will help you out. But this is something that I didn't know. We were fishing on the bottom, a lot of ditch fishing that day.
Yeah.
But you showed me, and this is something that I didn't do previous. You said leave that thing down there on the bottom sometimes when you get it to the boat and just pop it every once in a while. Just pop it a little bit. And I was like, this, I ain't never caught a fish that way because it was Chi-Tech.
Yeah.
And remember,
it was there you go back again to, what is the fish doing? How is he interacting with your bait? And you can really use live scope to break that down.
yeah.
But this particular fish had followed my bait to the boat, and then it swam over and it sat right underneath the boat. It was sitting there just looking at Danny's bait. And I said, no, give it back to him.
Yeah, don't take it away from him.
I mean, you could really see how this fish was interacting with your bait that day, and he just swam over there. And I was like, well, how long did it sit there? It sit there for like a minute or two.
It did. I didn't move it for a long time.
Then all of a sudden, it just loaded up.
It did.
Yep.
And I was like, I'll be damned.
And now think about it in the wintertime. So what is it in the wintertime? Slow.
It was. But that was something I would have never done.
Yeah.
I would have never done. And I found that to be very interesting. So if you want to know how much for a full and half day, contact him directly. That way you can talk to him, and that way he can he can talk to you like that instead of doing that online. But again, Kevin, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, man.
TJ's over there, and he's our audience for tonight. He's been very quiet over there, but I hope you learned something and appreciate you coming over. Anytime you guys want to come up on a Thursday night and just sit back here and watch it and talk before and after the show, you guys are always welcome to come up here on a Thursday night when we got the show.
TJ?
I said TJ. I don't know why I said TJ. Tim McGuire.
Tim
McGuire. Check out his Facebook and YouTube page, right? Did I say that right that time?
Good job.
Man, listen, we're going to blame it on the Paps. Anyway, we're going to blame it on the Paps. It's been a long, long day. Ryan, appreciate you running the camera. Running everything. You did a good job. I freaked him out earlier, but we got him back. We got the cameras working, and hopefully you guys that watched tonight, the internet, we had a good, clear screen for the most of the night, and we didn't get none of that fuzz. But want to thank all you guys. Want to thank our sponsors, For Her Outdoor Apparel. Again, you guys go check them out at forheroutdoors.com. A lot of great clothes there for the women and men. Adams Renovation up here in Pickens, North Georgia. If you guys got a job needs to be done, Charlie's your guy. And if you're down in Lake Country on Oconee, out I-20 going out that way, in the deer hunting part of the state that I really love, you guys check out Jason Sayers with J&S Contracting, 706-816-2049. I'd say Charlie's number, but you flashed it up on the screen, didn't you?
Yeah, it's right there.
There you go, 470-505-3412. If you're watching on Facebook again, hey, we appreciate you. YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Click that notification bell, and again, follow us on all our social media, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff at Fish North Georgia. Guys, we appreciate it. We're glad we're back. Thank you, guys. We had a great crowd tonight, a lot of great questions. You guys were really into it tonight, and it makes my job a lot easier thinking up questions when you guys are out there just basically throwing me softballs. Makes it easy. You guys have a safe weekend if you're on the water, especially up here in all these lakes, really crowded. Make sure boat safety. And again, if you're fishing, do your live wells. Make sure you take care of those fish. Put them out there because we want to be able to catch them another day. And we will see. We will not. No, next week we will not have a show, not because of the internet, but Ryan and I will be down in Orlando at the ICAST convention next week, Tuesday through Friday. We'll be doing some TikToks and stuff like that, just kind of showing you guys what's happening down there. We got a lot of great meetings that are going to happen. And little Timmy McGuire, Dane Hunter said right there. So little Timmy McGuire, and but great guy. We enjoy him. But you guys have a safe weekend. Go catch some fish or spend some time with your family. You're blessed, and every day you wake up, you're blessed. So, you guys make sure you take care of yourselves and your family and have a great time. We will see you in 2 weeks. Here at the Live Well. Have a great evening.